She slammed him against the wall, without warning, without questions, just the badge and the rage it inspired in him. And yes, the black woman he grabbed was sent to fix the very system he thought he controlled. He didn't know who she was, but by the time he did, it was already too late, and justice was already watching. If that first moment quickened your pulse or boiled your blood, don't hold on to it. Free you. Share this story with someone who still believes in accountability and subscribe. Our stories are to hear voices not heard often enough. Now, join me back in that courthouse corridor where the silence ended and the power flipped on its head. They say justice is blind, but sometimes it's just about looking the other way. That morning, the courthouse hallway was jammed. People in cheap clothes, suits, whispering prayers. Heels tapped on the tiles. It was one of those days where everything felt taut, like the walls themselves were waiting for something to break. And then it did. Officer Randall Thorne stomped through the hall as if he owned the place. Broad shoulders, clenched jaw, eyes always searching for someone to control. He didn't walk, he patrolled, as if this wasn't a place of law, it was a battleground. And to him, anyone not in a uniform was a potential threat, especially if their skin wasn't white. A black woman stood near the benches, just observing, not talking, not filming, just there looking toward the courtroom doors, perhaps waiting for someone inside. She wore an orange blouse, plain slacks, nothing conspicuous, mid-30s, perhaps a few years either way. Quiet still. Randall barely glanced at her before he snapped. ID move. She didn't move, only looked at him, steady, firm. That kind of silence that doesn't mean fear, it means she's sizing you up. He didn't wait. With one hand, he yanked the purse from her shoulder. With the other, he grabbed her wrist and twisted. He shoved her toward the wall. The metal of the handcuffs made a loud clank, too loud for a place meant to house dignity. She hit the wall shoulder first, then the side of her face, hard enough to elicit a gasp from someone nearby. But no one intervened. Inside, phones came out. Fingers tapped red circles, but feet stayed frozen. The eyes of the crowd did what they usually do when injustice strides and wearing a badge. They watched in silence. And she never raised her voice, never said a word. She just turned her head slowly and looked him right in the eye, not with fear, but with clarity, with something deeper, as if she knew exactly who he was, as if she had seen this before, perhaps too many times to count. Randall stood over her, breathing heavy, his knuckles white around the cuffs. His face said control, but his body twitched enough to show he wasn't as sure as he pretended to be. And somewhere off camera, a recording light blinked red. It felt in the air that this wasn't just another unpleasant moment. It was a crack, and something or someone was about to push through. But before that, there was only silence, the kind that wraps around you when something has gone too far and no one knows what to do about it, except her. She knew, and what she did next would change everything. There's something cold about courthouses. It's not just the marble floors or the too low air conditioning. It's the kind of cold that seeps into your bones, the kind that comes not from temperature, but from silence, from posture, from power. The benches are wood, straight and unforgiving. They creak, but no one dares to move too much. The walls are bland beige, designed to neutralize emotion, to silence voices. Everything in this place whispers one message: fall in line. The bailiffs know their place. They open doors. They nod to judges. They rarely make eye contact with anyone else. The clerks click on their keyboards with their gaze straight ahead, as if looking up might implicate them in something they'd rather not see. And the officers walk with a certain cadence. Polished boots, belts loaded with gear, not for protection, but for presence. The weight of it all seems deliberate, as if they're always one step away from control or confrontation. Randall Thorne moved through this machine like a gear that believed it was the engine. He'd been here for years, long enough to know the rhythms, to read the unwritten rules, long enough to believe he could bend them when necessary. He saw himself as a filter. His job, in his eyes, wasn't just to keep order, it was to decide who belonged, who deserved to be inside the courtroom, who could sit quietly and wait, who looked like trouble just because of their skin tone, clothes, or stance. Randall didn't wait for cues from the judge. He didn't ask the clerks, and certainly not the people he grabbed. He acted sharp, loud, quick, as if the sound itself justified him. He wasn't the only one like this, but he was one of the loudest, and no one had ever stopped him. They let him move like this because, to them, he brought order. But order is not the same as justice. And everyone who has ever sat on one of those hard benches knows it. That day, after shoving the woman against the wall, Randall moved back to his post as if nothing had happened. He didn't file a report. He didn't speak to the sergeant. He just stood near the courtroom door, arms crossed, daring anyone to question him. The woman, Nadia Monroe, didn't say a word. She retrieved her purse, brushed off her sleeve, and sat back down quietly, gaze forward, lips tight. It was the kind of silence that didn't come from fear. It came from knowledge, from restraint, from choosing not to react yet. And that silence carried more weight than any badge on his chest. People watched her, some out of curiosity, some out of shame. Some looked at their phones to check the video they had just shot. No one deleted it. No one offered her water. No one asked, "Are you okay?" Because here, in this place, things like that happen all the time, and people have been trained to let it. It wasn't the first time someone had been shoved for no reason. It wouldn't be the last. But this time, something felt different. It lingered. Maybe it was the way she looked at Randall, unblinking. Maybe it was the serene dignity in how she sat, how she refused to touch the forming bruise on her cheek. Or maybe people could feel that the machine's gears had caught on something unexpected. She looked like a woman who had come for a reason. Whatever that reason was, she wasn't done. Not yet. For a moment, no one moved. The hallway, moments before full of footsteps and murmurs, went silent, as if someone had unplugged all the noise. Even the air felt heavier, as if it didn't want to carry what was about to happen next. Nadia stood up slowly, calmly, without rush, without panic. She smoothed a crease out of her orange sleeve with the back of her hand, adjusted her bag on her shoulder, and then reached inside with a deliberate grace, like someone choosing every breath. Randall watched her, confused, his posture rigid, as if preparing for another challenge, another complaint, another routine excuse from someone trying to act tougher than they looked. But Nadia didn't argue. She opened her wallet, flipped it open, and held it out for everyone to see. A gold, blue shield. Police. A name embossed in silver lettering. Chief Nadia Monroe, 12th District Police Department. For a second, it didn't register. Then it did. A young officer at the end of the hall gasped. His mouth opened like an unlatched door in a storm. A few feet away, a court clerk dropped a pen. It hit the floor with a click that was far too loud. Inside the courtroom, the judge was mid-sentence, but his voice broke. He paused and leaned back slightly in his chair, peering into the hall with narrowed eyes. Someone whispered, "No way. She's the new chief." But Nadia didn't need the noise. She looked directly at Randall, her voice quiet, measured, not loud, but impossible to ignore. "I was sworn in yesterday," she said, "and I came here today to see how justice is applied in this building." Quietly observing. No announcement, no special treatment. Then she let the silence do the talking. It hung there, pressing in from all sides, until even the ceiling seemed to lean closer. Randall didn't blink. His hand, unclenched from the radio, strapped to his chest. His jaw flexed, but no words came out. And for the first time in a while, maybe his entire career, he looked uncertain, not just surprised, but exposed. "And now," Nadia added, her voice soft as a sigh, "I've seen exactly what I came to see." That was the blow. Not a shout, not a scene, just the truth wrapped in serenity, spoken with eyes that had seen too much to be shaken. Randall opened his mouth, then closed it again. There was nothing to say, no protocol for this, no phrase from the handbook that could get him out of it. And the people just watched, phones still recording, eyes wide, holding their breath, not because she raised her voice, but because she didn't have to.